Good evening. You are live on Queset TV. Thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Sports Extra. My name is Fiifi Anaman. Our hashtag is Extra Live across all social media platforms. We are Sports Extra on Facebook, at Sports Extra GH on Twitter, as well as Sports Extra Online on Instagram. It's a Wednesday night, and you know what happens here on Wednesday night. Our Storytellers story series will be coming your way tonight. I have a pretty interesting guest in the studio. I'll be introducing him traditionally with a video, but I'll also be doing some discussions with him on the current transfer window and all the ins and outs. Remember, tomorrow is deadline day. But let's meet our contestants right after this.
Hi, good evening. It's now time to do sports here on News 360. My name is Yaw Ofosu Larbi. Let's start with boxing. And Isaac Dogbe started his boxing career as an amateur in 2011, represented Ghana at the Olympics in 2012 as the youngest ever to do so. And 6 years on, he is a world champion. It has been an amazing ride from the amateur level to the top. And now, he wants to do even better.
Okay, so Yaw Ofosu Larbi, definitely not a contestant. He's my guest for tonight's edition of the Storyteller story series. Yaw.
Yeah.
Kawawa.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So it's always good. It's always good to be here.
I've done a lot of Storytellers interviews. But your own, as soon as I put it out there, a lot of people Kawawa. Tell me, get fans.
I mean, I just think that the nickname is fascinating. I mean,
Right.
everybody.
How did it come about?
I lived a little bit in Fadama.
Right.
I mean, that was sometime really late, really early in my when I was growing up, and so you know, I was with a lot of the boys in the area and all of that, and I usually was the only Christian guy amongst the Muslims, and so they gave me that name just to sort of fit into you know what
one Kawawa.
Yeah, exactly. I just added the one to it just to
make it a bit unique.
Exactly.
Now, Kawawa, let's do some transfer window conversation before we delve into your career proper. Now, Lukaku headed towards international.
I think that Lukaku's move is a good one for him. He wasn't the right fit for United, and anytime that something like that comes up, you know, the teams know that it could be a problem for them, and so they need to let the person go. And I think that that's what United have done. It's a move that is good for Inter, it's good for Conte, who wanted Lukaku when he was at Chelsea, and so it's good for Lukaku as well to know that he has a manager who believes in him and could bolster his career. And so I'm happy for Lukaku that, you know, he has moved that step, you know, to go to Italy to try to see whether it will work out for him. It's a good move, and I hope that it works out for him. Lukaku is a player that I really like, and I hope that it works out for him. It's difficult now in modern football where, you know, teams are trying to play expansive. Teams are not relying on that big centre forward anymore. But it looks like Antonio Conte feels like he can use him, and so.
I mean, it worked for someone like Adriano when he was at Inter, you know, in the Lukaku mode, left foot, a big belly,
left foot, big person, just a bit of pace that could get him to go, and so it could work for him. But what worked for Adriano is that he had really good footwork. Lukaku does not, and so I mean, it will be interesting.
Infamous first touch.
Exactly. So it will be interesting to see how it goes for Lukaku. I mean, I don't think the first touch will be a problem for him. I think that he's a really good goal poacher. And, you know, he could make a name for himself. Inter is a club that he can succeed. They are looking like a club that is on a resurgence. And so if, you know, he puts in one or two good performances, I mean, the fans will just love him, and he could just kickstart it really well there. Also,
some interesting other stories. Wilfried Zaha hands in the transfer request. David Luiz wants to move to Arsenal. What's up with that?
I mean, I didn't understand that when I heard it, but it's looking increasingly like Lampard will not trust him, you know, to play that centre-back role.
But did Lampard actually play with Luiz?
Yeah. Lampard played with Luiz, and so I'm probably thinking that he's also thinking that Luiz is one of those players who you know, is in the twilight of their careers, and so he wants to face him out and all of that. But it'll be really interesting to see Luiz play for Arsenal, knowing the rivalry between Chelsea and Arsenal, and how how consistent he has been
Right.
in some of those fights, in those games. It will be interesting to see him switch, colours and see what he will do to Chelsea and all of that. It's interesting looking at all that's happening. Wilfred Zaha as well, handing a transfer request. I think it's very late. It's too late on for him to hand in a transfer request for something to be done. But I think that for Crystal Palace to reject 70 million
from Everton,
and two players, it's incredible, because it's 70 million and two players. What else do you want?
For Wilfred
Zaha. What else do you want?
Football is going crazy.
Football is going crazy, and for someone like Danny Welbeck as well, who has moved to Watford, I think it's a good move
Danny
for
Welbeck
him.
and Watford. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? But I think that it didn't quite work out for him at Arsenal. The injuries were too many. It would have worked out for him at United if Alex Ferguson had stayed on, but he didn't. It didn't work out for him under Van Gaal as well. He had to move on, and so let's just see how it pans out for him.
Coutinho, I heard he rejected a loan move to Spurs.
I mean, if you're Coutinho, you've played for Liverpool, you've played for Barcelona, and you're heading to Spurs, you would have doubts about whether it's a good move for you. I think that it will be a good move for Coutinho, because Dele Alli will not play up until September. And so if you're Coutinho and you come into the side, you get to acquaint yourself with how the team plays and everything, and kick your career start in a very, very good mood. You wouldn't have to struggle with a position with someone like Dele Alli, who's a regular member of the Spurs team. And so it's neither here nor there. Coutinho might feel it's not a good move for him. I think it would have been a good move for him, but I mean, what do I know? He's Coutinho.
We can keep talking about the transfer window on and on. I was going to mention Christian Eriksen, but let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Yaw.
Yeah.
Journalism, sports journalism. Is this something that you always wanted to do?
I think that the people who know me, who went to primary school with me, are not surprised that I'm actually doing this. I think I've always wanted to become a journalist. I started
a sports journalist in particular.
Not a sports journalist. I've always wanted to become a journalist. I thought about this very early, somewhere in class 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I always wanted to do active political journalism. I mean,
politics.
Yes, politics. Actually, I listened to a lot of the Super Morning Show on Joy. Okay. I listened to a lot of.
This was Kojo Pon Nkrumah or Komla Dumo?
It was Ajuedu.
Okay.
It was Ajuedu. Then there was Komla Dumo, and then just a bit of Kojo Pon Nkrumah. I mean, as of the time Kojo came on, I was losing interest, so I started listening to the morning show on Atlantis Radio, where Rudy Kwachi was.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a lot of politics for me. My dad always wanted me to do politics, do active political journalism, asking the frontline questions and all of that. So I went on to tech to do political science. I mean, and later I lost interest in it because a lot of it was meaningless for me. Okay. And so it was at that point that I started losing it, because
at KNUST.
At KNUST, because I realized that a lot of the things that political journalists do, really good work, but what comes out of it, you do not really see the benefits of it. I think that there's so much I can say about politics here, but I don't want to go into it. But just back to my career now, and I think somewhere in KNUST I just decided to switch on into sports journalism, and after KNUST I did my national service at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Very, very hard place to work.
You did your national service at GBC.
At GBC, yes.
That's something I didn't
know.
Very,
very tough place to work. I was at the radio newsroom, and there's one thing that I always say, that it was really hard to work at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
Why so?
Because one, a lot was expected of you. Two,
as an intern,
as a national service person, a lot was expected from you. And two, it's a place that if you are not tough enough, you would abandon the journalism dream. Because a lot of people will tell you you're not good enough just because of the standards that they hold out there. Right. And so on my first day, first week when you get there, you don't really do anything. But on the Thursdays when we had to be assigned, I was assigned to Agbubloshi. The place had just burnt down, and then I was supposed to go and do a story from there. I got there, the people were angry. I was nearly beaten that day, and so I didn't get anybody to talk to. But I got a clear picture of what the place looked like, and so I could describe it, but I didn't get anyone to talk to. And you know how journalism works. It's wrong if you come back with a picture and you didn't have anyone to talk to. And so my news editor at the time, Sena Chikata, thought I wasn't good enough for it. And so I was taken off the newsroom. They took me to the production team. And so I was producing Ghana Today. It's a show that still runs. It's a magazine show from 3 to 4 every day. You pick out stories from the regions. So all the correspondents of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation in all the regions will file their stories and give it to you, and you will deem which story to go on to Ghana Today.
So
and
it's a package of
no, for radio, actually, yes. So that was what I was doing. I did that for all my time there at service. I mean, I was given just one chance to report, and I blew it. And so I never reported when I was at GBC. I was just doing production work, yes. And then a bit of sports as well. And so I was in the sports room a lot of the time, speaking to the likes of George Latte and Joshua Niapia, Michael Okule, and the rest. Those were really, really helpful guys. But the first person to actually put me on TV at GBC was Emmanuel Edujenfi, who I doffed my hat for a lot of times. I think that he's an incredible fellow, and he gave me the first chance at TV. And so after
as a panelist,
as a panelist, yes, on one of the shows. So after GBC, I you know, a lot of the guys who left, a lot of the guys who were doing service with me at the time decided to stay. I didn't feel welcome at GBC, so I left, and then I went home.
It was a conscious decision not to continue.
Not to continue. So I left, and then I went home. So I was home for about 4 or 5 months, and I was just doing some, you know, work. My friend Neilexis, you know, would just call me. We'll do some work we'll do some writing. We'll take money. At that time was really meager money, but I mean, we'll do some work. We'll take money. He'll call me and say, "Oh, there's a show at ETV, so we should go." Right. I remember those times when I'll just get down at Circle and then I'll walk to ETV at Asalam down just to do the show. After that, we'll walk back to Circle together, go home, and all of that. And so within that period, I wasn't really doing anything active. I was just at home waiting for someone to call you before I go. But I always say that how I got into...
This was you at ETV?
This was me at ETV back
then. Interesting.
So
Eddie Micah,
Neilexis, and then myself. I remember this day very much. It was a week before Ghana played Togo in one of those AFCON qualifying games. Yes. So after ETV, I always say that my break into active journalism is like an act of God, because I never... It was a divine intervention. I never thought I could make it doing active journalism at this point. Although I always had faith in myself, I always believed that I could. And by that,
do you define it by the TV3 entry?
Yes, I define it by the TV3 entry. Now, what happened with TV3 was that, so I was home one day, and then our very good friend, Kelvin Wellington, he added me to a group, a Manchester United group. I mean, randomly. So I took my phone, I was like, Man United group, what am I doing here? It was so many people on that group. We were about 45 on that group. And so as time went on, everybody just kept leaving the group. I mean, even Kevin Wellington himself left the group. And then I was thinking, so why have I not left this group? So many people left, and then it became just about 14 of us.
Right.
And then when it became our 14 of us, then one day, you know, one lady just popped up and said, "Oh, so it's just 14 of us, so let's just introduce ourselves, and then let's get to know each other more, and then we can move on from here, you know, to become, you know, proper friends, become a family, whatever." And that lady happened to be Nana Banamwa on that group. And so when I realized that it was her, I was like, okay, so I mean, I could just shoot my shot. I could just push. So I was...
Well, we're not in that way.
Not in that way, yeah.
Getting employment. I think we need to specify.
I could just push and try to get a job.
So that's you, Nanaba, and Michael Lutti.
Me, Nanaba, and Michael Lutti. I mean, the two most important people in journalism for me, who actually got me the break, got me through everything that I've been through. So I think that... So I spoke to Abba about... an employment opportunity, and she said, okay, fine, if you think you can do it, I'll give you an internship for 3 months, and after that we'll see how far to go. I was like, okay, I'm ready, I'll do this. So I took my letter to TV3. It took a month before they called me to start my internship. I started the internship. First month it didn't go too well because my first week I had. You remember when I told you that at GBC it was really tough for me. My first week, it was Hearts Esperance at the Accra Sports Stadium, and then I went there. You know, I covered the story, everything, and then I got to the we got to the press conference. I had to shoot the press conference, and then my cameraman was nowhere to be found. The camera was there, the tripod was there, he wasn't there, which was, so I was baffled. I didn't know where to find him and all. But so I made one other cameraman work on the camera and everything for me. We shot everything. We finished the whole press conference, and then my cameraman shows up. And so I mean, I just didn't get some of. I was just getting surprise factors after surprise factors over my time in my first month at TV3. And so the second month was really good. I started on the 1st of June, 2015. That was when I started at TV3.
2015, so about 4 years now.
About 4 years now, yeah. So just after my first month, the second month was good, the third month was good. But the third month was August, and that was when that whole Nanaba issue came up, and then she had to leave TV3.
Must have been difficult for you.
It was difficult for me, actually, because the one who actually brought me in and promised me that I was going to get a shot at, you know, my first journalism job was leaving, and so it felt like everything I'd worked for was crashing down. But Nanaba never left. You know, if I'm saying she never left, I mean, in terms of mentoring me, she was always, you know, always calling to ask how I was doing, always, you know, asking me what next for me in journalism and all of that. But I didn't know that after she was leaving, Michael was coming in. And so I think that she had a word with Michael about me and all of that. So Michael came, took me under as his protege. And then from then on, it's been...
The rest they say is history. Yeah, you've done so well. Last year you had an AIPS award nomination for a piece that you did. Yeah. And if you could just have a look at it, just a snippet of that particular story right here on Sports Extra.
Football, the beautiful game, and by far the most popular sport in the world. It is played on sandy courses and also on the green grass. But here in Anafo, in the Cape Coast municipality, it played in one of the biggest drains in the community. The people here tell me it started in the 1920s, some 8 decades ago, and has been handed down from generation to generation till now. It has become a center of attraction for everybody who lives here and loves their football. This drain is one of the biggest in the Cape Coast municipality. It connects
huge story this one turned out to be. Got him a nomination in the video category.
Yeah. Yes, it's still the biggest ever story I've done. I think that I have done some stories that have come quite close, but this is still the biggest. The one I did at the Right to Dream Academy with the girls academy. You know, they are the only academy with the girls section. So I did one in the girls section. The girls that I actually interviewed, their captain at the time, Patience Coombe and Vivian Atrim and all of that, they are out of the country, but they still reach out, you know, to say thank you for that opportunity to put them on TV. So, I mean, I think that it's always fulfilling for me when I do stories like this, and then I get recognition.
Makes you feel like you're doing something. Right?
Yeah, it just makes you feel like you're doing something. But I think that this is what gives me satisfaction. A lot of the time, people ask me why I do not delve into many issues of the football administration and how it's formed and all of that. But I keep telling people that, I mean, I think that it's administrative work. There are journalists whose interests are with, you know, the structures of the football administration and whatnot. I know of the structures, I know how it works, I know everything, but I feel like we need to tell other stories about sports. There has to be stories that will be touching.
Delve deeper.
We need to delve deeper. I mean, I think that after I left the Cape Coast place, they've gotten help. I mean, people go there to give them footballs. People have shown more interest in it. People have offered to actually build an AstroTurf in Cape Coast for them. So, you know, the bigger picture is always to get people to know the stories of other people and know that people are putting in a lot of work. I mean, because if you go to Cape Coast and you do not go and watch these guys playing in that drain, I mean, I don't think you've actually been to Cape Coast. and so, yeah, I mean, there's still more we can do to project sports in Ghana. People like Mokarama Abdullahi have incredible stories.
You recently did a story on here.
Exactly, that people need to tell. Even the two guys at Karela, I mean, Diawasi Taylor and Solomon Safu Taylor are two people who whose stories need to be told. I mean, two tailors from nowhere. I mean, it's not like they're brothers.
Probably a
it's not
story
like
you'll
they're
be doing
friends.
soon. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
we're running out of time on the show. But I have a gift for you,
Oh, you
from
do?
the guys at Serenity Beach Resort. They have given me a VIP reservation ticket
Nice
to
one.
give to you.
Oh, that's-
Congratulations,
oh, that's
Yaw
cool. Thank you.
Ofosu Larbi. They are
Thank you.
located in Sakuma.
But
You go in
I
there.
can get anything there.
Oh, definitely. You can send a +1.
I'm-
As people would like to do. Thank you very much for joining us. Yaw Ofosu Larbi.
But just before you go, I'd like to say thank you to a few people. First of all, to Nana Banama, thank you to her so much. Thank you to my boss, Michael Otieje. Thank you to Petra Abasamwa, who was my boss at 3FM for 3 years. She's one of the people who actually shaped my career. Thank you to Miss Jimamanate as well, and to my mom and to my dad of blessed memory. He would have been really proud to have seen me at this stage. So thank you to everybody who has helped. Lonatete, thank you to as well for for always backing me as well.
Kawawa, thank you for coming to our show. We are proud of your exploits, and we'll be following all your stories upcoming on your networks as well. Thank you for joining us, our viewer, on the Storytellers Story series. Up next on Kwese TV is Home Run. My name is Fiifi Anaman. Until I see you again, it's good night and it's God bless.